The suburban dream has always been sold as safety, space, and stability. But in 2025, that dream is unraveling in some of America's most overvalued suburbs. From once booming commuter towns to luxury enclaves where bidding wars defined the last decade, the cracks are widening. Prices are no longer sustainable. Inventory is climbing, and the bubble is starting to burst. Tonight, we uncovered the 10 most overvalued suburbs in America, where the collapse is accelerating. Before we begin, don't forget, subscribe to Discover the Nation for the most dramatic breakdowns of America's housing markets.
Number 10. Frisco, Texas. Frisco was once the crown jewel of suburban Dallas, the poster child for how fast a Texas suburb could transform from farmland into fortune. Fueled by tech companies setting up sprawling campuses, booming school districts that attracted families from across the country, and endless rows of master-planned communities, home values soared to nearly 80% above their historical trendline. Realtors couldn't put up for sale signs fast enough. Every cul-de-sac felt like it had been pre-sold to the highest bidder. But in 2025, the cracks are everywhere. Mortgage rates have doubled since 2021, and families who stretched to buy at 3% interest rates are now looking at monthly payments $1,500 higher. That's the kind of financial squeeze that forces tough choices: groceries or mortgage, daycare or HOA fees. Inventory has ballooned by more than 120% in just a single year, leaving entire subdivisions half-built and unsold. Drive through some of Frisco's newest neighborhoods, and you'll see a haunting sight. Pristine homes with no cars in the driveways, no children on the playgrounds, just empty promises of a boom that already passed. Corporate relocations that once fueled demand have slowed dramatically. Many of the luxury homes built for executives now sit quietly, their granite countertops and 3-car garages collecting dust. Investors, who once swarmed Frisco for its Airbnb potential, are dumping properties at steep losses, with short-term rental occupancy plunging below 40%. Frisco's glory days are fading. What was once the shining symbol of Dallas suburbia has become a cautionary tale. The suburban bubble here isn't just cooling, it's popping.
Number 9. Nampa, Idaho. Just a short drive from Boise, Nampa was once marketed as the affordable alternative, the city where middle-class families could still chase the dream of a backyard, a good school, and a brand new home. For years, buyers poured in from California, Washington, and Oregon, convinced they had found a hidden gem. Prices reflected the frenzy, surging nearly 200% since 2015. But here's the problem: wages never kept up. Now in 2025, the fragility of that growth is being exposed. With Boise itself cooling after years of overheated gains, Nampa's demand has collapsed. Foreclosures are rising month after month, and homes that once listed confidently at $450,000 are being slashed to $350,000. Yet even at those levels, they remain wildly out of reach for the average local income. It's not just a market correction, it's a widening affordability gulf that simply can't sustain itself. Worse yet, construction never stopped. Builders, intoxicated by the pandemic surge, pushed ahead with wave after wave of new subdivisions. Today, those projects are coming online into a market already drowning in listings. The result? A flood of unsold homes competing against each other, dragging prices down further. Investors, many of them out-of-staters who bet big on endless migration to Idaho, are retreating. Properties are hitting the market in clusters, creating what feels like a fire sale atmosphere. What was once a speculative playground is now a graveyard for unsustainable bets. Nampa has gone from symbolizing opportunity to becoming ground zero for a suburban correction. And when the correction starts in places like Nampa, it rarely stays contained.
Number 8. Surprise, Arizona. West of Phoenix, Surprise was built on optimism. It became a magnet for retirees chasing sunshine and remote workers chasing cheap square footage. The growth was astonishing. Homes that once sold for $220,000 were commanding $480,000 at the market's peak. Investors piled in, convinced they could flip to the next wave of transplants or cash in on steady rental demand. But in 2025, the tide has turned sharply. Insurance costs in Arizona have spiked due to extreme heat and wildfire risk. For many retirees, premiums have doubled or tripled, erasing the affordability that once drew them here. Demand has collapsed, and active listings in Surprise have nearly doubled in just 1 year. Even more troubling, builders are still finishing massive retirement communities. Rows of sparkling new homes stand ready, but the buyers are not. With mortgage rates high and fixed income stretched, retirees are walking away from deals, leaving developers stuck with inventory they can't unload. The rental market offers no rescue. Rents in Surprise are actually falling by nearly 10% year over year, leaving investors in negative cash flow. Landlords who counted on steady returns now face vacancies and mounting expenses. For many, the only option is to sell, even at a loss. Surprise is no longer a surprise. It's a warning that when speculation outpaces fundamentals, when builders overshoot, and when climate risks drive costs through the roof, the entire model collapses. What looked like a retirement haven is becoming an investor trap, and it's happening faster than anyone expected.
Number 7. Naperville, Illinois. For decades, Naperville stood as the crown jewel of Chicago's suburbs. With its charming downtown, award-winning schools, and reputation for safety, it was often ranked among the best places to raise a family in America. But behind the accolades, a financial time bomb was ticking. In 2025, that bomb is going off. Property taxes in Illinois are already among the highest in the nation, and in Naperville, they've become unbearable. Households are paying thousands each year just to stay afloat, often rivaling what some families in other states pay in mortgages. For retirees on fixed incomes, the burden is crushing. For younger families with student debt and rising childcare costs, it's unsustainable. Prices, which once soared to record highs in 2022, are finally sliding back. The median home has already fallen nearly 15% in the last year. Downtown condos sit unsold, their glossy finishes and riverfront views unable to overcome the tax burden. Family homes that once sold within days now linger on the market for months, twice as long as they did just 2 years ago. The demographic trends are equally troubling. Young families, once the bloodline of Naperville's growth, are leaving Illinois altogether. Many are heading to Indiana, Texas, or Tennessee, chasing lower costs and lighter tax burdens. That exodus has drained the very demand that kept Naperville's inflated market afloat. For homeowners who bought at the peak, this is just the beginning of the fall. As taxes climb, demand weakens, and values erode, Naperville's reputation as Chicago's most desirable suburb is giving way to a harsher reality. The bubble here is cracking wide open.
Number 6. Leander, Texas. North of Austin lies Leander, a suburb that epitomized the Texas growth story. Between 2018 and 2022, home prices here nearly doubled. Fueled by Austin's tech boom, the rise of remote work, and endless promises of prosperity, Leander transformed from a quiet town into one of the fastest-growing suburbs in the nation. Developers couldn't build fast enough, but in 2025, the cracks are undeniable. The tech migration that once fueled Leander has slowed, battered by layoffs at major firms and the retreat of remote work. The flood of buyers who once lined up for model homes has dried to a trickle. Demand has plunged, leaving new subdivisions eerily quiet. Builders who once bragged of resort-style amenities and community parks are now posting cancellation notices. Projects have been halted mid-construction, leaving streets half-paved and lots sitting vacant. For the homes that did get built, the discounts are staggering. $50,000 price cuts, free granite countertops, luxury appliance packages, anything to move inventory. But even with incentives, homes remain out of reach for local buyers. Median wages haven't kept pace with prices, leaving Leander caught between affordability collapse and oversupply. Investors who piled in for short-term rentals are bailing, spooked by falling occupancy and rising costs. Leander's bubble was built on speed, on the assumption that growth would never stop. But now, growth has reversed, and the very thing that made Leander boom is what makes its decline so dangerous. The suburbs housing market isn't just cooling, it's teetering on the edge of collapse.
Number 5. Cary, North Carolina. Cary, nestled near Raleigh in the heart of the Research Triangle, was a shining star of the pandemic housing boom. With its blend of suburban charm, tech proximity, and livability, Cary drew thousands of new residents between 2020 and 2022. Prices skyrocketed by nearly 60% in just 3 years, far outpacing wage growth. For a time, Cary was hailed as a can't-lose market. But in 2025, reality has hit hard. The very factors that fueled Cary's rise, tech workers, investors, and speculation, have now turned against it. With tech layoffs sweeping through the triangle, many homeowners are suddenly unable to keep up with their mortgages. Investors, who once saw Cary as a rental goldmine, are now facing stagnant rents and higher carrying costs. Their response? Offload properties quickly, even at losses. The numbers are striking. Nearly 40% of new listings now sit on the market for more than 90 days, a sharp contrast to the bidding wars of just 2 years ago. Homes that once sparked frenzied offers are now greeted with silence, as cautious buyers wait for prices to drop further. Meanwhile, Cary's inflated median home prices remain far above what local incomes can support. Families who bought at the top are trapped in negative equity, unable to sell without losing money. Subdivisions once bustling with moving trucks and excitement now feel stalled, with for sale signs multiplying on every block. Cary's bubble has lost its air, and the burst is accelerating. What was once the darling of the Research Triangle is now becoming a cautionary tale, a market propped up by hype, not fundamentals.
Number 4. Henderson, Nevada. Henderson, perched just outside Las Vegas, was long marketed as the upscale alternative to the Strip's chaos. Here, golf course mansions, stucco palaces with desert views, and gated master-planned communities promised suburban luxury with a Vegas edge. By 2022, many of these homes soared past $800,000, fueled by investors, retirees, and Californians looking for a cheaper slice of paradise. But Nevada's housing market has always been one of the most volatile in the country, and in 2025, Henderson is no exception. As mortgage rates doubled, the market began to collapse under its own weight. Inventory is up 150%, and price cuts of $100,000 or more are not just common, they're expected. The investor rental market, once Henderson's golden goose, has soured. Las Vegas tourism has struggled to fully recover to pre-pandemic highs, leaving Airbnb hosts and short-term rental owners with empty calendars and shrinking returns. Homes once listed as vacation rentals are now back on the MLS, many sitting unsold for months. And the longer they sit, the more desperate sellers become, slashing prices again and again just to attract a single offer. The result? A city that once symbolized safety and stability is now a gamble. Streets that once buzzed with new movers now feel eerily quiet, dotted with for sale signs instead of welcome parties. For many homeowners who bought at the top, Henderson is no longer a safe bet. It's a housing gamble gone wrong. And like the casinos just down the road, the house always wins.
Number 3. Gilbert, Arizona. Few suburbs grew faster than Gilbert, Arizona. Once a sleepy farming community, Gilbert became one of the most desirable Phoenix suburbs during the pandemic. Fueled by out-of-state buyers from California, Chicago, and Seattle, as well as a flood of investors, home prices skyrocketed.
In 2021, bidding wars were so intense that buyers routinely paid $50,000 over asking just to secure a modest single-family home. But the crash has come hard. In 2025, Gilbert's affordability has completely collapsed. Sales have dried up, leaving rows of for sale signs on quiet cul-de-sacs. The median price has already dropped 18% in the last year, erasing billions in homeowner equity. Foreclosures are ticking up, especially among families who stretched to buy during the frenzy at record-low rates. For investors, the story is even worse. Homes that once flipped in weeks now sit stagnant for months, carrying costs mounting by the day. Property taxes, insurance premiums, and maintenance costs eat away at rental income, leaving many landlords in the red. Locals, who were priced out during the boom, simply cannot support the inflated values. Gilbert's suburban bubble is deflating faster than anyone expected. What was once a story of endless growth is now a cautionary tale, a reminder that when prices run too far ahead of fundamentals, the fall is swift and brutal.
Number 2. San Jose suburbs. In the heart of Silicon Valley, suburbs like Milpitas and Fremont were once the embodiment of the tech dream. Modest ranch homes and townhouses routinely sold for $1.3 million or more, buoyed by stock option wealth and relentless investor demand. For years, these suburbs rode the wave of the tech gold rush, their values climbing to staggering heights as each IPO minted a new wave of buyers eager to pay whatever it took. But the tech downturn of 2024 and 2025 has exposed just how fragile this market really is. Layoffs at giants like Meta, Google, and Apple have left many tech workers unable to buy, and those who already purchased at the top are now sitting on negative equity. Listings in Fremont are up 85%, while in Milpitas, price cuts averaging $120,000 have become routine. Painful reminders that even Silicon Valley isn't immune to market gravity. Investors, once eager to buy into the valley at any cost, are retreating. Homes that once sparked bidding wars now sit stagnant for months, their glossy brochures collecting dust. Streets that just a few years ago were alive with moving trucks, remodels, and optimism now feel eerily still. For sale signs multiply on front lawns, each one signaling another family or landlord forced to face the harsh new math. For decades, these suburbs were seen as bulletproof, immune to downturns, because tech money would always flow. But in 2025, the suburban Silicon Valley dream is cracking fast. Without the relentless fuel of tech wealth and foreign capital, Milpitas and Fremont are learning the hard truth. When the bubble bursts in Silicon Valley, it doesn't just ripple, it reverberates across the entire nation.
Number 1. Irvine, California. At the very top of our list sits Irvine, California, the ultimate poster child of housing overvaluation. With its meticulously planned communities, top-rated schools, and global investor demand, Irvine became one of the most expensive suburbs in the United States. Families and foreign buyers alike poured in, convinced that Irvine real estate was a guaranteed ticket to wealth. But the numbers have become absurd. Values in Irvine are now nearly 90% higher than the national average, and affordability has collapsed. The average household income in Orange County simply cannot sustain Irvine's astronomical prices. Inventory has surged by 140% year over year, flooding the market with unsold homes and condos. Condos that once fetched $900,000 are now being listed at $700,000, still without takers. Price cuts of $200,000 or more have become routine. Luxury towers that once catered to Chinese investors now stand half empty as international demand has dried up and capital controls in Asia tighten. The exodus is severe. Landlords who banked on endless rent growth are bailing. Families who stretched to buy into perfect schools are discovering their equity has evaporated. The Irvine dream, the idea that values would only ever climb, is cracking under the weight of reality. Irvine's bubble isn't just bursting, it's exploding. And when Irvine falls, the shock waves will be felt far beyond Orange County. It will be the clearest signal yet that America's suburban housing bubble has finally hit its breaking point.
From Texas to California, Illinois to Idaho, America's suburbs are no longer immune. The very places once marketed as safe havens are now some of the riskiest markets in the nation. These 10 suburbs are proof that when affordability, speculation, and debt collide, the bubble can burst anywhere. Stay ahead of the crash because knowledge is your best defense. And don't forget, subscribe to Discover the Nation for the stories the real estate industry doesn't want you to hear.